In the quiet suburb of a bustling American city, Angela Thompson, a devoted mother of two, faced a night that would change her life forever. It was a typical evening. Dinner was finished, homework was done, and the kids were settling down to watch their favorite TV show. But beneath the calm surface, Angela felt a growing sense of unease. She had been hearing noises outside her home for days, strange footsteps, whispers that made her skin crawl. On this particular night, the noises grew louder, more threatening. Fearful for her family's safety, Angela did what any loving mother would do. She reached for her phone and called 911. The voice on the other end promised help, reassurance. She explained her concerns calmly but with urgency. Help was on its way. Minutes later, flashing lights lit up the street. 2 police cars pulled up to her driveway. Angela opened the door, relief washing over her. But that relief quickly turned to shock and confusion. The officers didn't ask questions or listen to her story. Instead, they accused her of making a false report, treating her with suspicion, as if she were the threat, not the victim. Angela's pleas fell on deaf ears. The officers handcuffed her in front of her terrified children, the same children she was trying to protect. Neighbors watched in disbelief, whispers turning into murmurs of outrage. Why was a mother who called for help being arrested? The following days were a whirlwind of legal battles, media attention, and community support. Angela's case exposed a deeper, more painful truth: how systemic biases and racial profiling can turn victims into suspects, especially in moments when they need help the most. But Angela was not one to be silenced. With courage and resilience, she fought back, not just for herself but for every parent who has ever felt unheard, misunderstood, or mistreated by the very system meant to protect them. Her story became a beacon, inspiring others to reflect on the importance of justice, empathy, and the urgent need for change. It challenged viewers to look beyond assumptions, to practice mindfulness in how we see and respond to one another, and to cultivate self-discipline in advocating for what is right. Angela's journey is a profound reminder. In the face of adversity, true strength lies not in confrontation, but in grace, persistence, and the unwavering belief that justice can and must prevail. Angela's ordeal was far from over. After her arrest, the court hearings began, each one a battleground where facts clashed with prejudice. The prosecutor painted her as a troublemaker, someone who had wasted police resources with a false alarm. But Angela's story was grounded. In truth and fear for her children's safety, she had only wanted protection. Her attorney, a compassionate and tenacious woman named Maria, dug deeper. Together they uncovered reports of similar incidents in the neighborhood, other Black families who had been unfairly targeted or dismissed when calling for help. It was clear this wasn't an isolated case, but a systemic problem deeply rooted in assumptions and bias. Angela stood in that courtroom, facing not only the legal system, but the weight of societal judgment. She could have crumbled under the pressure, but she chose to stand tall. She spoke about the fear that gripped her that night, the helplessness she felt watching officers treat her like a criminal. Her voice trembled, but carried an undeniable strength. Her testimony resonated far beyond the courtroom walls. Media coverage brought her story to a national audience, sparking conversations about race, policing, and the urgent need for reform. People began to question how many other mothers, fathers, children, and families had suffered in silence. The judge, once stoic and seemingly unmovable, listened intently. The evidence was undeniable, the truth unmistakable. When the verdict came, Angela was exonerated, and the charges dropped. But more importantly, her case set a precedent. It pushed the department to implement new training on racial bias and community relations. Angela's victory was not just a personal triumph. It was a step toward healing a fractured system. She continued to speak out, using her voice to inspire mindfulness, encouraging people to see beyond surface judgments and practice empathy in everyday interactions. Her story challenges us all to eliminate distractions from our minds, the noise of prejudice and assumption, and focus instead on what truly matters: justice, dignity, and respect for every human being. It calls for self-discipline to confront uncomfortable truths and the courage to pursue meaningful personal growth. Even when the path is steep, Angela's journey reminds us that change begins with one brave soul willing to stand up for what is right. Her legacy is a call to action, to listen, to understand, and to never let fear or bias dictate our responses to others in need. As Angela's story spread, support poured in from communities across the country. Activists, legal experts, and everyday people rallied around her cause, organizing forums, workshops, and campaigns to address systemic racism in law enforcement. Her experience became a powerful example of how individual courage could spark collective change. But Angela's personal journey was equally profound. The trauma of that night and the subsequent legal battle forced her to confront her own fears and pain. She began practicing mindfulness and meditation, learning to center herself amidst chaos. This self-discipline helped her reclaim her peace and strength, allowing her to heal and grow beyond the shadow of injustice. She also became an advocate for mental health in marginalized communities, recognizing how trauma often goes unspoken and untreated. Through speaking engagements and community programs, Angela encouraged others to prioritize emotional well-being and resilience. Her children, once frightened and confused, now saw their mother as a beacon of strength and hope. The family grew closer, united by their shared experience and determination to face life's challenges with grace and courage. Angela's story is a testament to the power of perseverance and the importance of standing firm in one's truth. It teaches us that while the world may sometimes seem unfair and hostile, our response can transform pain into purpose. When we focus on meaningful growth and practice compassion, we not only uplift ourselves, but also pave the way for a more just and empathetic society. Through her journey, Angela shows that true justice isn't just about legal victories. It's about changing hearts, minds, and systems. It's about fostering understanding where there was once fear and building bridges where walls once stood. Her experience calls on each of us to examine our own biases, to listen more deeply to those whose voices have been silenced, and to commit to actions that promote equality and dignity for all. It's a powerful reminder that personal growth and social change are intertwined, and that by cultivating self-awareness and discipline, we become agents of transformation in the world around us. Angela's courage shines as a guiding light, inspiring us to live with intention, empathy, and unwavering commitment to justice, no matter the obstacles we face. Angela's fight did not end with the court case. She understood that systemic change required sustained effort, and so she dedicated herself to educating others about their rights and the importance of community vigilance. She partnered with local organizations to create workshops that empowered citizens to know how to respond if they ever found themselves in similar situations. Her story inspired many to take a hard look at their own lives and communities. People began to question long-held prejudices and consider the real impact of their actions and beliefs. Angela's message was clear. Justice is not only about laws, but about everyday respect, awareness, and courage. In her personal life, Angela embraced mindfulness as a tool not just for healing, but for clarity and purpose. She often shared that self-discipline in her daily routine helped her stay grounded, despite the pressures surrounding her. Meditation, journaling, and acts of kindness became pillars of her growth, allowing her to focus on what truly mattered. Her children thrived in this environment of resilience and love. They learned from her example that adversity could be transformed into strength and that standing up for what is right is always worth the struggle. Angela's story reminds us that, even in moments of deep injustice, there is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to create lasting change. It calls on each of us to remove distractions and focus on self-awareness, empathy, and action. In a world often clouded by division and misunderstanding, her journey shines as a beacon of hope, proving that individual courage combined with collective effort can reshape society for the better. Angela's courage also sparked conversations far beyond her community. News outlets picked up her story, shining a spotlight on the deep-rooted issues of racial bias in law enforcement. Activists used her experience to push for reforms, advocating for better police training, accountability, and transparency. The ripple effect of her ordeal and victory began to challenge systems once thought untouchable. Yet amid the public attention, Angela stayed focused on her personal journey. She made it a priority to cultivate mindfulness, reminding herself daily that true change starts within. She practiced patience not only with others but with herself, acknowledging that healing is a process, not an event. Her self-discipline extended to her activism, ensuring she didn't burn out but remained a steady, unwavering force for justice. Through this balance, Angela became a role model for many, proof that resilience coupled with mindful action can inspire profound transformation. Her story teaches us to look beyond immediate reactions and judgments, to embrace compassion and to harness inner strength. It urges viewers to eliminate distractions that cloud judgment and to focus on meaningful growth, both individually and collectively. In the end, Angela's journey is a testament to the power of perseverance and the impact one determined person can have when they refuse to be silenced or defeated. Angela's story did not end with the courtroom victory. It became a catalyst for change in her own life and for those around her. She began organizing community meetings, bringing people together to discuss not just the issues they faced, but the solutions they could create collectively. Her approach was rooted in mindfulness, listening deeply, respecting differing perspectives and fostering a space where healing could begin. Through self-discipline, she balanced activism with self-care, understanding that sustainable change requires strength, clarity and resilience. Angela encouraged others to focus on what they could control, their responses, their actions, and their commitment to justice and empathy. Her experience taught her, and all who heard it, that the path to meaningful personal growth often involves confronting uncomfortable truths, facing adversity head-on, and refusing to be distracted by cynicism or fear. Instead, by centering mindfulness and self-discipline, individuals can transform pain into purpose. Angela's journey is a powerful reminder that while systems may seem unchangeable, the courage and dedication of one person can illuminate a path forward. Her story inspires viewers to prioritize their values, remain steadfast in their beliefs, and contribute to a more just and compassionate society. Angela's newfound voice began echoing far beyond the borders of her own neighborhood. Word of her story spread online. First it was a local blog, then a national news outlet picked it up. Soon she was receiving invitations to speak on panels, podcasts, and even college campuses, not because she sought fame, far from it, but because her story resonated. It tapped into something many people felt but struggled to articulate, the profound need to be seen, heard, and respected, especially in moments of vulnerability. When Angela took those stages, she didn't present herself as a hero. She spoke as a mother, a citizen, a woman who had been pushed too far and decided to draw the line. And when she spoke, people listened, not because her words were polished, but because they were real. She spoke of fear, of injustice, of the sting of betrayal when the people you call for help become the ones who hurt you. But more importantly, she spoke of rising up, of reclaiming one's dignity, and of forging a path to healing. She often told audiences, "It's not just about my story. It's about all of us. It's about what kind of world we want to live in, and what we're willing to do to make it better." Her advocacy sparked conversations in police departments, where officers were required to undergo additional training in cultural sensitivity and de-escalation tactics. In schools, students learned about bias and the importance of empathy. Community centers began offering free legal consultations and workshops on knowing your rights. These weren't massive changes overnight, but they were seeds. And Angela was planting them with care. At home, things began to shift too. Her relationship with her children deepened. They had seen their mother at her lowest, but also at her strongest. Her daughter, once withdrawn and afraid, started speaking up in class. Her son, who had once acted out in confusion, became protective and focused. They had watched their mother be wronged, but they also watched her fight with grace and integrity. That left an impression no textbook ever could. One afternoon, as Angela stood in her small living room surrounded by folded chairs and neighbors gathered for another community discussion, she looked around and smiled. There was laughter, there was food, There were people from all walks of life sharing stories and listening with open hearts. That moment, more than any headline or speech, was her victory. And yet, she knew the work was far from over. Every time she saw a news story of another injustice, it renewed her commitment. But rather than rage or despair, she met it with action, with compassion, with resolve. Because Angela had learned that meaningful personal growth isn't just about what you survive, it's about how you transform survival into purpose. Her journey teaches us all something simple yet profound. When life knocks you down, you get to decide whether it breaks you or builds you. And if you're willing to choose the harder path, the one filled with truth, courage, and accountability, you might just change more than your own life. You might change the world around you.